I cannot be responsible for your fear. I have to put all of my energy into healing. And I'll be transparent with you guys. I'll tell you what's going on. But if you're going to ask me a question, I want you to ask me, how's your healing going?
Hey, it's Julie. Welcome to Uncomfy. A lot of us are struggling right now with how to stay open when life puts us in situations we didn't expect or wouldn't have chosen. I feel like I'm always looking for a way out of my discomfort, but I also don't want to miss what that discomfort might have to teach me. This is a podcast about staying with the moments we usually want to escape, the awkward ones, the tense ones, the ones that can actually teach us something. So let's get uncomfy.
I was numb. I was shocked. And all I could think about was, I'm going to die.
Okay, friends, I want you to meet Laura Lummer. She is a certified life, health, and nutrition coach. She's host of the Breast Cancer Recovery Coach podcast. And it's great to have her with us today. Laura, welcome to Uncomfy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Julie. It's good to be here.
Well, I appreciate you being willing to be so candid. And that's kind of the thing that you've established in your podcast. So cancer, you've actually had 2 cancer diagnoses.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What was the one you were just referring to in that moment? Tell us a little bit about where you were at that point in your life.
Yeah, that would be in October of 2020. And I had a fall. I was in pain, went through a bunch of diagnostics, ended up having an MRI because the pain wasn't getting any better. And the results came back. And my doctor, who was also a friend of mine, she calls me, and I'm expecting that I tore something in my hip because I had slipped and fallen, and I thought maybe I tore a labrum or something. Like, cancer was so far from my mind. I was like, I went through this in 2011, and it's 8 years later.
And at the time, that was breast cancer. You had been treated. Yeah. You had done a lot of recovery. Okay, so that's cancer, right. That wasn't on your mind.
Yeah, I felt, and when you have a cancer diagnosis, you're pretty much told that get to the 5-year mark. If you can get to the 5-year mark without a recurrence, you're golden, right? And I was at 8 years. And after my first breast cancer diagnosis, I had gone back to college, gotten a degree in to help in healthy lifestyle coaching, nutrition, exercise, and behavior science to help other breast cancer survivors rebuild their life and deal with the trauma and the fear and the PTSD and all the things that we end up going through after treatment and after diagnosis. So yeah, I was just sailing along. I had a great business now working with breast cancer survivors. I loved it. I was very fit. I had an exercise regime, all the things. So when I got the call and they said, you have cancer in your hips, in your pelvis, in your femurs, in your spine, a tumor in the lymph nodes in your shoulder, in your forehead, in your shoulder blade. I mean, the list kept going. And as the list went, I could just feel the color draining from my face. And I thought, how could this be? How could this be happening? Because until I fell, I thought, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm fit, everything is great. And yeah, in that moment, I had a flashback to 1993. My brother was diagnosed with testicular cancer. He was 32 years old, and he died 6 months after that metastatic diagnosis. And that's just the first thing that flashed through my head is, this is it. Like, if I have 6 months left, what do I want the end of my life to look like? What am I going to do? I feel all the emotion coming back. And I spent about 3 days talking with my husband, processing it. I hadn't told anyone else in my family because I really felt like they had been through a lot with my first diagnosis. My mom was still alive. And one of my thoughts was, how do I tell my mom? How do I tell my mom another one of her kids is going to die? And after about 3 days of just thinking through everything, I woke up one morning, the next morning, and I just thought, you know what? No, this is not it. I have read stories, met people. I know people heal from stage 4 cancer, and I'm going to figure out how they do it. And that was when I really had a mindset shift into, I refuse to even entertain the idea. I'm not going to die. I'm going to figure out how to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A mindset shift has been an important part of the message that you work with your clients on
Absolutely.
as well. Talk to me a little bit about what that there was the, like, I'm not going to die, I'm going to focus on living mindset shift.
Yeah.
But I gather that there was also a shift toward kind of future looking rather than back looking, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about how that has played out for you and what difference that has made.
Yeah, I think it makes all the difference. In the last, that diagnosis, as I said, was in 2020. My doctor didn't expect me to live through the end of the year, and now I'm almost at 6 years. And the only cancer I have left is in one of my lymph nodes, that original tumor, which is much, much smaller now. And for me, I did a lot of work on the future version of myself. Like, what is the future version of myself? And every day I would write, I am a woman who healed from metastatic breast cancer. And because I would write that, I would think, what does somebody who's healed from metastatic breast cancer do today? And what they do is they get up, they get out of bed, they go exercise, they make good food, they only hang around with people that they love, people who fulfill them. Everything someone does who's healed, which was what I wanted to believe, right, are these things. And I felt like the important thing for me was to really believe, at a cellular level, believe that I could heal. And that's really hard to do when you have widespread stage 4 cancer and everyone tells you it's incurable. And so even trying to get into the mindset of really believing that, not just saying that to myself and then my brain going, yeah, that's not going to happen, right? Your doctor says it's incurable. Everybody says it's incurable. And so you really have to work through my own thoughts and dealing with the reactions of other people, right? Because somebody hears you have stage 4 cancer in the first couple of things. One, they'll say, oh, my mom, aunt, sister, fill in the blank, she died from breast cancer. And you're like, wow, thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's helpful. Or the other thing is just, oh, I'm so sorry. Mm-hmm. And it's like the death sigh. And so it's really, really hard to be like, oh, no, it's cool. I'm good because I'm healing and I'm going to heal. And that was some tough conversations that I had to have with my family as well, because I had to say to them, you cannot bring your fear to me. I understand that you guys are scared. I get it. I've been there with my brother, right? And one of my sisters had cancer. And I said, but you have to help each other and talk amongst yourself, because I cannot be responsible for your fear. I have to put all my energy into healing. And I'll be transparent with you guys on the family chat. I'll tell you what's going on. But if you're going to ask me a question, I want you to ask me, how's your healing going? Right? That's the energy that I want. And, if I would get a call and it would be like really cancer focused, I would just try to turn that around and say, yeah, so here's what I'm doing to heal right now. Here's the bright side of it. And that's not to say I was delusional or not accepting or looking at what the situation physically was for me, because I was doing a lot of work on that. But I did not want the language and the energy from me or from anyone directing it to me to be cancer and death focused.
Laura, you talk about better than before. In fact, that's the name of your organization is Better Than Before Breast Cancer, which just seems awfully counterintuitive. Like, how can you be better? Like, in what ways do you feel like you or your life is better than it was before these devastating diagnoses and all the painful treatment that you've had to go through and the life changes? Yeah.
So here's how I see it. I did a lot of training with Dr. Naisha Winters, who is a very well-known naturopathic oncologist. And so Dr. Naisha would say, you cannot get well in the same life you got sick in. And what is different and what is better than before breast cancer is that I believe when we don't have something hanging over our head, like a diagnosis of something that could take your life, we tell ourselves, it's okay, I can deal with it, they're not that bad, I really want to take that trip, but after this happens, after that happens, once I finish this, once things calm down, and we just keep putting off the joy in life, or we keep tolerating unacceptable behaviors that are directed towards us, or we keep walking into a job that as soon as you step in, you go, ugh, every day this sucks the life out of me a little bit more. And so for me, better than before breast cancer means we take an honest review of ourselves and our lives, of our conditioned beliefs, of I keep doing this because it's probably the right thing to do, because if I don't do it, my mom will judge me, my friends will judge me. And we live our lives by other people's thoughts. And that's what we look at. We look at what does health really mean to you? What do you really want in your life? And more importantly, what is stopping you from having that? Why don't you have it right now in your life? And when we start looking at those thoughts and being willing to be really honest with ourselves, we have to do some courageous and difficult work. We may have to speak up for ourselves to someone close to us in our life who we have never spoken up to before, who we have allowed to violate our boundaries over and over and over. And now we say, you know what, this isn't working for me anymore. And that's really difficult. We have to learn to look at ourselves from a lens of, I am the most important thing in my life. And that doesn't mean from a selfish standpoint. That doesn't mean harming anybody else. It means finally loving yourself as much as you love the people that are closest to you.
What do you do when the fear comes back? How do you keep that in check when, I mean, surely it must occasionally, when you're lying at night, having a hard time sleeping, and you're thinking about that cancer in your lymph node and, like, you know, things you can't control, right? What is your go-to strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, just recently I've had a lot of difficulty because I had a nerve issue in my spine, and that created a lot of inflammation, which created some fluid accumulation in my chest, which made it difficult to breathe. And when that happens, I, of course, honor myself. I do not push myself and say, like, I'm going to figure out how to push past this and then end up passing out or something. So I'll honor what I can tell my body needs. And at the same time, I'll say, okay, but I'm here right now. I'm alive right now. I have energy right now. I have, a list, like, this is my life and I'm alive. And if this situation happening in my body right now never changed, I would still be alive. I would still be functioning. And, I think about the lymph node that has cancer. If that lymph node never heals completely and it stays just where it is, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still talking. So this lymph node and I can live together until I'm in my 80s, right? I'm not going anywhere. So I remind myself that I have today, that I have this moment, and that I'm okay right now. Because when you let your mind go past right now, in those really fearful moments, you're going to find yourself in a big dark rabbit hole, a big scary spin.
I mean, it's obvious to me that the strategies you're talking about actually apply to lots of different challenging, difficult, tragic, situations that we all deal with. So if you could go back, Laura, as just like a hologram from the future, at the moment that 15 years ago you were getting that diagnosis for the first time, the breast cancer diagnosis, what would you tell that Laura?
Yeah, I would tell that Laura, keep your mind open. I had been trained a lot in Western health and fitness and what that meant. And I had been bombarded with the fight mentality, right? I was thrown into the pink ribbon world and the fight and be a warrior and be a survivor. I would tell that Laura, fighting and healing are two very different energies. And I'm innately a fighter. And so I would have said, I know that's your instinct, but open your mind and try to understand what healing truly means, because that would have led me on a completely different path and made the next 5 years a lot easier on me. There was a lot of resistance there.
Laura, thanks so much for your time. This has been really great. Your energy is contagious, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Laura Lummer is the founder of Better Than Before Breast Cancer. We've got some links to her work in today's show notes. And thank you for getting uncomfy with us today. Is there a moment you've experienced recently where you were a little uncomfortable and you chose to kind of lean into a challenging discovery or a personal realization, or maybe it's a relationship or some kind of unexpected situation in your life? How are you dealing with that? What have you learned from that discomfort, if anything? Email uncomfy@byu.edu or find us on social media. We are at uncomfy.podcast on Instagram. We'd love to keep the conversation going. Uncomfy is a BYU Radio podcast. Samuel Benson produces it, and the team includes Maggie Mathis and Abby Karras. Our theme music was composed by Kelsey Ney. I'm Julie Rose. Can't wait to get uncomfy with you again next week. Julie here. Just one more thing before you go. If you're a mom or if you know a mom that could use a little backup, there's a new podcast from BYU Radio you'll want to hear about. It's called The Council of Moms, and it's all about the real, messy, beautiful moments of motherhood, from picky eaters and bedtime battles to the deeper stuff like anxiety and raising resilient kids. The show is honest, funny, full of heart. These are moms who get it, and they're showing up to support each other and support you. So if you're feeling a little overbooked and underappreciated, this might be just the boost you need. You can find Council of Moms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you listen.